In Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and the law and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. That's the very beginning. I call it the first promise of the United States of America. When we were created by declaring our independence from England. And even though the Declaration of Independence was written during the month of June, it was adopted by Congress on July 4th. The actual signing of the Declaration of Independence didn't happen until August 2nd, but that doesn't have the same ring to it. I'm going to talk real briefly about birthdays, and I'm going to share a moment about... I'm going to start with the moment that's on my mind first, and then we'll get to the other thing. So let's talk. Welcome back to Trent Takes On 2.0, a show where a guy named Trent shares his takes on different topics. Anyway, I woke up 6:30 this morning, and I go through my morning routine and I get myself ready, with the shower and everything, and I scroll through the old the old morning doom scroll through Blue Sky, which is kind of like what Twitter used to be before Twitter became just nothing but bots and right-wing trolls. And I learned of the tragic death of Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva in a car crash in Spain last night, their time. Diogo Jota plays... They're footballers. They both play soccer in Europe, football in Europe. Jota plays for my favorite team, the Liverpool Reds. And I have always been a fan. He is a scrappy, fearless striker with a nose for goal. He just goes and he plays hard played hard all the time. Anyway, he tragically passed away. He was killed in this car accident alongside his younger brother, who was 26 years old. He played for a team in Portugal. They were Portuguese by birth, both of them. Diogo Jota played on the Portuguese national team, and they just won the League of Nations. And Jota was 28 years old. He had just married his partner of several years on June 22nd. And he leaves behind his brand new wife and their 3 children. They've been together for quite a while. It's tragic. And it got me thinking about tragedy. It got me thinking about how, I've said this before on this show, the most important thing, the most valuable thing in the world is time. You can never buy more time. There is nothing you can exchange for more time. Time it's the ultimate resource. Time. And we only have a finite amount of it. living these lives, sharing them with our families, our friends, our neighbors. We only have a limited amount of time, and what you do with that time, according to religions, according to people with common sense, what you do with that time really is the measure of what a person has accomplished. And it's not just about how many dollars you leave for the next person in your line. It's actually more about what values, what lessons did you share with your family, with your friends, with your neighbors, with your world that continue on after you're gone? What did you do with your time? It's one of the reasons that I do this little podcast. Because in doing this, I attempt to distill the ideals that I have grown to understand as how to try to be a good person. I haven't been my whole life. I had to come to this. I had to grow to this. People grow and they change. And if you have a growth mindset, and if you have an eye toward improvement, if you have an eye toward understanding what humanity is, what makes us human, what all the value is, then you become a better person for it. Rest in peace, Diogo Jota and Andre Silva. You, by all accounts, by all the incredible outreach and outpouring of condolences and the stories that we've heard so far, amazing people who lived amazing lives that were cut tragically short. And that can happen. Okay? It happens all the time, not just to famous people. In fact, it usually happens to not infamous people, just non-famous people, because those of us who are not famous, we're just people going about our business, and there's far, 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 far more of us than there are footballers in Europe, or movie stars, or musicians, or politicians. So, on the eve of the nation's birthday, I woke up to this, and at the same time, in Washington, D.C., the big bullshit bill, big billionaire bill, whatever you want to call it, the Republicans are going to pass, is in front of the House of Representatives. And Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries took the floor and held it for 8 hours and 44 minutes, which is a new record for longest House of Representatives floor speech, because you're limited to a minute of silence. So you have to continue to speak. They call it the magic minute. So what Jeffries did there, it was truly remarkable. So, great. It's not going to change the outcome, but it raises awareness. And that's what this is all about. So, in light of the passage, which hasn't happened officially yet as I record, but it will. I said that this would happen last week. I wanted to talk about the Declaration of Independence just real briefly, and why this bill is what it is real briefly, and why it happens now. I'm going to start with the bill, actually. This bill contains tax cuts for the richest Americans. This bill contains increases in funding for military spending and a huge increase for Department of Homeland Security, specifically for immigrations and custom enforcement. The immigrations and custom enforcement will become the largest police force and the best funded police force in the world with this bill. The budget for DHS and their policing is now bigger than the United States Marine Corps budget. Just for shits and giggles, throw that out there, and it's bigger than the budget for the entirety of the Brazilian military, which includes their Navy, Marine Corps, Army, all of it, just for fun. And it's not a small military by any means. It's actually quite large. All right. The bill it also features $1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid services, which is government provided health care to the young, the disabled, and the old. And, about somewhere between 12 and 17 million people will lose health care because of this bill. About 12 million right off the bat will lose their benefits because they won't be able to meet the work requirements because they're either children who are not, you want children to work that much, or they are disabled people. That's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. People are going to die because of this legislation. It also features $240 billion in cuts to supplemental nutritional assistance, the SNAP program. That's food for people who are struggling. I was on food stamps when I was a young man when my parents divorced. While my mother was training for a new vocation at the Vocational Technology Institute, the VOTEC. And I watched my sister at night so she could go to VOTEC school. I was 8. My sister was 3. And we would, I've told this story on this pod before. We would go to the store and my job was to keep track of the actual food stamps. They were like a bucket of a brick of coupons, which you tore out, and like one was a gallon of milk, and one was 2 loaves of bread, and one was some cheese, and they had specific things that you could buy with them. And I would tear those out, and then I would also have a running tally of how much money we had spent, and I did it all on a piece of paper with a pencil. It felt dehumanizing. It wasn't fun. It was a really difficult time. But we made it through. And Mom finished her vocational training and became a legal secretary. And we were never on food stamps again. But I remember it 40 odd years later. I remember it. It was the early mid 80s. We could barely afford to keep the lights on. People need those benefits because of different things, Single mothers need those benefits because deadbeat dads leave them. That's what happened to us. Anyway, they steal from the poor to give to the rich because that's what they do. This bill is a favor to the rich people because Donald Trump believes that the only real Americans are the ones who pay to be a part of his America at Mar-a-Lago. That's his constituency. The people who have memberships to his clubs, the people who can afford to give him money for favors, the people who can cozy up to him and give him things, give him gifts, take him on trips, take him wherever. Yeah, those Those are the only people that Donald Trump thinks about. Okay, so everybody who thinks Donald Trump is in this for me, you've been lied to. You have been lied to and lied to and lied to, and you continue to be lied to. He continues to claim that things that are in this bill are not in this bill, like no tax on Social Security. Sorry, buddy, that's not in the bill. Social Security will continue to be taxed. No cuts to Medicaid, he keeps saying. There's $1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid. Okay. So, all that said, this is a bill for the ruling class. This is a bill to build the aristocracy. This is a bill that contains a provision in which anyone leaving more than $30 million for their inheritance for their children get to do so without it being taxed by the government. So basically, the entire reason that we declared independence from England to get away from the decisions made by a mad king and his aristocracy, a bunch of people who were born into power and money, who never knew what it was like to live day to day, paycheck to paycheck, working, grinding, trying to get ahead. They never knew that. And the whole point of this country was to get away from that monarchy. Sure, the people who signed that Declaration of Independence were rich white dudes. Yeah. But they were rich white dudes that wanted to call their own shots. They wanted a free place to do the things that they deemed important. They didn't want to be taxed and have most of their monies sent back to England where you would never see it again. All of the hard work of all of the people of the colonies taxed and sent back to England. That's what we fought against. That's what we stood against. That's what we fought against. I say we. American. This is all stolen land anyway, right? We can't even live up to those first promises that were made in the Declaration of Independence. Treating all people as equals. They use the word men, but we've tried to distill that over the years. People, women included. Non-binary people. It should all be in there. The lens through which we are meant to view the Constitution that created this government that we use is the Declaration of Independence. And that's been lost over time. We celebrate it every year on the 4th of July. The independence of this nation from England. We all take the day off. We all drink a beer and have a hot dog. We all watch a baseball game or whatever it is that we do. But we all take a moment where we celebrate just being American. But we've lost what that means. Or have we? That bill is atrocious. It is a prime example of what happens when this form of government takes the people who give it power for granted. And that's what's happening right now. There are difficult days ahead. This will be difficult, without question. In fact, so difficult, there will be days where we just don't want to do it. Where we'll feel like the fight is too much. Where we'll think, well, maybe I'll be spared. You may think that, but the fight continues. Okay? If you need to turn it off, if you need to take a minute, if you need to do your mental health thing, I have to do my mental health thing. I failed to do it, and I have days like today where I can't eat, where my anxiety and depression take back over and turn me into a basket case. Believe me, I could afford to, skip a few meals. But I hate the way it makes me feel. I love hope. I love to spread messages where we're uplifting each other, where we're saying, you know what? We're better than this. And let me tell you, the thing about hard lessons sometimes come with the highest cost. Sometimes the lesson is democracy, freedom, liberty. The country that you thought was permanent. It's not. It requires constant defense from foreign and domestic enemies. Long time ago, I don't remember who it was. I've already forgotten who it was that said it. But when the end of America comes, it'll be wrapped in an American flag and carrying a Bible. And that's exactly what's happened. Is this the end of America? I don't think so. Because I go to these protests and I see the footage and I understand that the people of this country are not on board with what's happening in Washington, D.C. They are not on board with the fascist takeover of this country. They are not on board with ICE deportations. They are not on board with illegal policing. They are not on board with these people who pretend to be enforcers of the law, hiding their faces in shame because they know what they're doing is wrong. They know. They know. More and more people are standing up to them. Allies. People who just don't want this to continue. People who understand that today it's undocumented immigrants. And tomorrow, it's going to be the challenge for birthright citizenship. It's going to be the children of undocumented immigrants who were born here, who have birth certificates here, who can prove that they were born in this country and that makes them citizens. No. They're going to come after you too because they've challenged birthright citizenship. And the Supreme Court has said, well, we can't have a nationwide injunction against this. So it's still up in the air whether or not he's even going to be able to do it, but it's not going to matter that it's up in the air because they're going to try to do it anyway. And they go from undocumented immigrants to the children of undocumented immigrants to dissenters, to people who don't act American enough for them, their version of America. That's what fascism is. This exact same thing happened in Germany in the 30s. This exact same thing happened in Germany in the 30s. This is the rise of fascism. Now, there's a lot of differences between 2025 US of A and 1933 Germany. It's a hell of a lot bigger. And there's a hell of a lot more of us to cow. And I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that we are a country, having lived for 249 years tomorrow, believing that we chose our own destiny, that we had freedom of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, only to be told on day one of year 250 that, no, you don't have that anymore. I don't think we're going to take too well to that. The tide is turning. These are the desperate actions of men attempting to hold on to power that they do not understand, that they cannot use properly, that they do not want to relinquish. They do not deserve it. And they will lose that power. And we will have more elections in this country. And this is a guarantee. The lessons learned right now in the pain and suffering that we go through over the next 17, 18 months before we can cast our next official ballots. And in some places, it's a hell of a lot sooner. There are off-year elections in Virginia and New Jersey this year. Pay attention to those. Maybe even volunteer for phone banking. Do something for those. That's what my plan is. We have to fight back at the ballot box. And we have to show them in no uncertain terms that fascism is not going to survive in this country. We are supposed to be a multicultural, multiracial democracy. We are supposed to be the distillation of that, where all people are created equal and we all have unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is our government, not theirs. They may be abusing it today, but the tide is turning. And what happens today is temporary. Time. There is still time to turn the tide. And we will. I have no doubt. I believe in you. I believe in the people. I believe in the goodness that we represent. I believe that we understand that the evils that are visited on our fellow man are evils that will eventually be visited upon us if we do not stand against them today. We are smarter than this. And with every time ICE goes too far, and we see those videos that are shot by people in the streets and keep doing that, every time those videos get played on the local news, and that's going to keep happening, and every time those videos get reshared on social media, and that's going to keep happening. They can't stop us. They can't stop us from talking to each other. They can't do it. Even if they try, they can't do it. We have a freedom of speech, and we have a freedom of assembly, and we have a freedom to I've dropped my word there. We have a freedom to share the information that we have with each other, dissimulate. That's the word I was looking for. Bam! 75-cent word. This ain't over. Not by damn sight. But with every time those videos get repeated and shared and seen again, more and more people are going to watch that and be outraged. More and more people are going to see that and say, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I voted for. That's not okay. Sure, there are evil people out there that are cheering them on, but there aren't that many of them. And they may have a big-ass budget now, but they also know that they're the villains. And they're going to look for sadistic fucks to sign up for them, and they'll find some. They'll find some. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. It's going to take time to train them, and they're going to be bad at their jobs. We'll see. We'll see. And when we control the House of Representatives after 2026, and hopefully the Senate too, I would like to see them lose it all because they've turned their back on the American people. The Republican Party doesn't belong in charge of anything. If we can take control of the House, if we can take control of the Senate, oh, things change. Things change so very much. We'll see how excited these ICE goons are when their paychecks stop coming. Because Congress does control the purse, whether the president likes it or not. They can cut off the funding. They can investigate a whole lot of shit. There's going to be a whole lot of people dragged down to hearings in front of Congress. And a whole lot of them will refuse to go. And we'll see then. We'll see. The worm turns. The tide turns. The pendulum swings. It's time to take back this country. It's time to reform this government in a way that prevents things like this from happening again. The power belongs in the hands of the people, the masses, not the Mar-a-Lago crowd. Time will show. I'm right. Thank you all for being with me on this journey. Please share this with a friend or two or 10 or 100 if you have 100 friends. Most people don't. Remember, we are all in this together. And if we stick together, we will prevail. Until next week, be good humans. It's the very least we can do. And remember, make the most of your time. Bless you all. Love you.